K-12 educator, have you ever felt like you were just settling? Like you're just kind of skating by? You want to be better, you just don't have the effort, or you want to be great, but you don't know how to do it, or you're attempting it and you're not getting there.
Welcome to the School Culture and Climate Show. Hosted by Steve, a passionate advocate for positive school culture and climate, together with Megan. Join us as we explore strategies, share success stories, and provide actionable tips to improve the culture and climate in your school.
Well, that's the focus that we have today with our guest on the School Climate and Culture Show. We have my good friend, Mr. Dwight Carter. How you doing, Dwight?
Better than I deserve, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, better than you deserve. I love that. I love that. Now, the intro I gave here, I think is a good one in the fact that for what you speak on and what your focus area is elevating people in their own mindset and their own understanding to another level. And we're going to dive into that. We're going to get into what that's all about and how people who are listening, people who are watching, can elevate themselves in the K-12 space with a different mindset and shift. But with that said, I also want to make sure everybody's aware that we're talking to one of my good friends. This is a good friend. We have a long history together, and I remember talking to Meg about this, about how he and I have been friends for so long. And
It's been 20 years,
great.
man.
It's been 20 years,
20
brother.
years, yeah.
20
years.
20. Man, it's been 20 years.
20
yeah.
years. Yeah. It's
okay,
amazing.
give the abbreviated version of that. Give the abbreviated version of our friendship, and then we're going to dive into some of the other pieces.
So, like many of my great educator friends, I met Steve through Jocelyn's Renaissance, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are on a sort of like a think tank in a sense. We were invited to Red Wing, Minnesota, like I said, 20 years ago. Steve, 6'7", booming voice. He and I were both new, and he talked about elementary schools nonstop, 24/7. It's like, okay, we got it, we understand. Anyway, he and I had a chance to talk. He found out. I mean, I'm from Ohio. He's from Jersey. He said that he has family in Ohio. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, man. That's great. So we exchange information. He says, I'm gonna call you. You hear that all the time. You exchange business cards and like, yeah, put it up. But no, this dude actually called me. Like 3 weeks later, he called and said, hey, Dwight, this is Steve. I said, Steve who? Steve Bowler. He said, I said I was gonna call you. I'm like, what's going on? It's like, no, I'm just checking in. How you doing? Doing great. So we chatted it up for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. Conversation ended. He's like, I'm gonna call you again. A couple weeks later, he called me again. And so that was the first time I recognized, like, this guy is very intentional about establishing relationships. And he's a rarity in that he actually followed through and said what he's going to do. And then even further, we saw each other again at the Johnson's Renaissance Global Conference. It was the national conference at the time.
Right.
His daughter was just born, Aubrey, and he came late, and Steve rocked it. He was the inducted into the Hall of Fame that year. He tore that speech up. I mean, applause, and he was like magnetic in his delivery. But anyway. So it goes back to our relationship. He says, hey, I have family in Cincinnati. I think my grandmother, right? Your grandmother's there.
Yeah, my whole family. Yeah,
the whole family's in Cincinnati. Yeah. So he's like, when I come to Cincinnati, I'm going to visit. I'm like, man, whatever. He called me and says, hey, we'll be in Cincinnati next week. Came through. I met his wife, met his kids. We went to the Columbus Zoo, had a great time, and just hung out. And, we've been down like 2 flat tires ever since. Like, he has truly been a great friend.
That's it, bro. Bromance created. Yeah, it was purposeful. You meet certain people in life, and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to stay connected to this guy. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, hey, let's dive into this, because not only is he a friend, he is also an administrator in a school district in Ohio. But he also has you've have published books.
Yeah.
You have a great mindset around something that is called Be Great. Be Great. So with that, give us like a bird's eye view of
Yeah.
what it means around be great.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and many people ask that question because that's my sign off on everything. And it started when I became a building principal. I used to sign off, "This is be great," because I wanted something other than yours truly and sincerely. And then that developed into some core principles that helped define the type of culture that I wanted to create as a building leader, but mainly just as a person, because these are applicable outside of school. So, be great is actually an acronym. I know education is all full of acronyms, and we know that. So I wanted to, like I said, not just have a cute, fancy, unique tagline, but I wanted it to mean something to me, not to everybody else, but to me personally, and how I wanted to live my life. So Be Great is an acronym, and it stands for Be Grateful, Relational, Enthusiastic, Authentic, and Teachable. Again, grateful,
Mm-hmm.
relational, enthusiastic, authentic, and teachable. My belief is that if you live your life according to those five principles, you'll have some relative level of success. And teaching those to people and then reminding myself of those as I work through my career and work through my personal life and all aspects of my life, I really try to not just model those things, but share that as much as possible.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, man. That's it. And I like that. And they seem simple and easy to understand and to implement.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that I know with you is that you are very forthcoming in your speaking,
Mhm.
where you say, "Hey, I even fall short."
Absolutely.
It's because a lot of times you get speakers out there, and Meg, you know this. You've seen all kind of different speakers that come in through, and they're touting these things, and they're
Mhm.
giving great information and good content, and they act as if they got it together, they got it right all the time. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
sometimes you just don't make it. I know it even with you with integrated. Every lesson doesn't go perfect, right?
No, no, it's education. If we haven't fallen flat just for a second, then we're not speaking the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even in the book, when I wrote it, it was written through the lens of falling short of those principles. So I'll
Mm.
give you a quick story. I mean, really
Okay.
quick story that violates every single one of those principles.
All right.
Seriously, I lost my temper. It was towards the, May, everybody was just tired and ready for the school year to end. We're getting ready for graduation, and the seniors were being seniors, and a couple of teachers came to my office and says, "Hey, the seniors are riding scooters in the building." I'm like, "They're doing what?" So my first thought was senior prank. So I go in to investigate. I grab my walkie-talkie. I walk in my team, says, "Hey, we have some seniors, riding skateboards and scooters in the building. We got to jump on this." So as I'm walking, it's like dead quiet in the hallways. I'm like, this doesn't sound like a prank. I'm like, what's going on? So as I go to the second floor, I don't see anything. Go to the third floor, I don't see anything. Then I walk around the corner, I see two kids actually carrying scooters. And I was so angry at the time. I lost my temper with those two students, mainly because they weren't supposed to be in the building and they were. So I had a vision in my head based on the information that I had, and I was already locked and loaded and ready to
Mm.
respond. No, sorry, I was ready to react. I didn't
Mm.
respond. If I responded, I would have paused, but I reacted. So I reacted, and I lost my temper with the students, said some things I probably shouldn't say. And I proceeded to continue to search for more students. And I saw two other students who were, they visited my office quite a bit their senior year. So I was
Right.
familiar with
Right.
them. So again, my level of patience was already gone. I lost my temper with them. So by the time I got back to my office, I was pretty heated because the information that I received was not necessarily correct. Felt like I was misled. And there's only four students, and they weren't riding their scooters or skateboards in the building. They were just carrying them. So by the time I got back down to my office, I had no more patience. So I grabbed one of the scooters as I was walking down, and I was like, it was like an out of body experience. So I was walking
Mm.
back to my office, and in front of me was this wall, and I took the scooter and just bang threw it against the wall. And immediately I just felt so much shame,
Mm.
so much shame. And my secretary came out and was like, "You can't do that." I was like, I know, I understand. So my next thing I did is I called my superintendent and explained what happened. Needless to say, the conversation went better than I expected it to go. But what I'd done is I shattered my relationship with my secretary. I shattered the relationship with my students. and I violated the principles that we tried to model as educators. And that is, control your emotions, press pause, think before you react, focus on your why, and be intentional in everything you do. I violated all of that. And I had to call the parents. I explained to them, and shortly after that was graduation, and those 4 students, they acted like they never even saw me. So it was pretty. I was pretty embarrassed. Yeah, I was pretty shocked by how I responded, and that's when I knew I had to work on myself, continue to work on myself, because I was letting outside circumstances dictate how I showed up. And so I began one of the chapters in the book with that story to let everybody know, like, I do not have it all together. I'm still a work in progress, just as we all are. And that's the whole premise of the book, is that culture is an inside out process. We often look outside to say somebody else needs to improve the culture, when we all are responsible for the culture that we bring to the school. So as we work on ourselves and we show up and we have, still in one of your lines, beliefs that guide our behavior, then if those beliefs that guide our behavior are in line with the vision, mission, and values of the school, this culture will be very positive and inviting, and a high achieving culture. And like I said, I had to remind myself that you may write about it, you may blog about it, you may talk about it, you may speak about it, but you definitely haven't mastered them yet.
Man, that thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing that, man. And just think about how many other educators that you lost your temper.
Yeah.
Lose your temper. You are, it's a little bit of that, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
You say certain things that this is what we're about in this classroom. This is what we're about in this school, but then you don't do them yourself. And that goes further than anything else.
Yeah.
Completely in moving forward with what you want to do in developing culture. Because again, culture goes back to traditions. What do you continually do? It's the repetition of those actions and behaviors. And when you do not repeat those actions and behaviors, even one time, it's like you did it 50 times.
Yeah.
And
man, especially being the leader, like you model the behaviors that you expect. And any violation of that, you almost give permission for people to do the same thing. And so I was very, very cognizant of that, and had to do a lot of repair work, especially with the teachers that were there who saw it. With my secretary, like I said, that was a complete violation of our relationship. And like I said, I really diminished the relationship I had with those 4 students. And I still think about it, even though I can't undo it. I still think about it. But that is a reminder to myself to, again, slow down and think about the types of relationships I want to create and maintain and nourish with everybody that I come in contact with. So, it's a reminder.
I thank you for sharing that story. I was thinking about, as a leader versus like a classroom teacher, leading in our classroom, that, there are so many incidences where you have to stop and just think, because you can react to a student very quickly, with their behavior, what they're doing. But I think sometimes too, as educators, we don't give ourselves enough grace that it's okay. We made a mistake. Clearly you learned a lot from your story and what you did, and it's become this wonderful thing. And I think others listening to this, it's something where, okay, I did this, but I can do it better next time based on these principles that I'm holding on to. And I'm going to keep working on myself so that I can be great for the students in my classroom. I can be great for my teachers. And, to be human, and knowing that, my leader can have an off day, an off moment, but to be able to own that and then come back to that is pretty big.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now with this, the Be Great, you have a few other books which are absolutely wonderful. You talk about disruptive times and how that works, and how people can get through that. And then also the spaces that you're in a school, and how you can maximize those spaces. And each of these different areas, you go out and you speak on these things. You not only are you in a school, in a district, you also go out and you share this with other educators all over the place. Yeah.
Absolutely. I started speaking, I'll say professionally, probably 10, maybe 15 years ago. And it all began by, again, being invited to just share a story. And what I learned is, people want to hear again, your successes, your failures, and everybody wants to walk away with some type of strategy. Philosophy is great, but you can get that in the book.
Right.
When people are at a conference, through a breakout session, a workshop, a keynote, not only do they want to feel inspired, they want to walk away with something, some tools in their toolbox to say, I can do that tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things that I really try to emphasize, regardless of the size of the room, or the type of presentation it is. And so I speak about the first book I wrote with my great friend and mentor, Mark White, and Gary Seaback. He was our architect at the time. We wrote about, we were building the building in addition to the high school I was at. And Mark is the brainchild behind the actual, the concept of the book. And it's called What's in Your Space? 5 Steps to Better School and Classroom Design. And it's all about the mindset, because oftentimes, and we went through this phase in education where everybody was redesigning their classrooms, like painting the walls and getting soft furniture and exercise balls as seats, and wheels on chairs and carpet squares, and basically moving everything towards what an elementary school is like, which is fantastic because it's a thriving learning environment. However, the instruction wasn't changing at all, and how we were doing school wasn't changing at all. So the students were getting the same experience. They were just getting the experience in a different space. So we focused on what's in your space, the space between your ears. You get that right first, then you have the why behind the changes you want to make in the classroom. So you have to be very intentional. So we started with that, and then through some experiences that we had and that everybody felt in, like around 2008, 2009, 2010, it was an economic downturn. So it was a disruptive time. So we wrote a book, Leading Schools in Disruptive Times, How to Survive Hyperchange. So we dove deep into the technology boom that was happening, what feels like time is speeding up very rapidly. And that is actually true, because the processing speeds have almost doubled in the last 10, 15 years. And it's going to continue to double. As we get more information, things are coming at us so rapidly that it's hard for us to adjust adequately to those times. So we created a framework called CAT. When there's a disruption, you cope, you adjust, and you transform, CAT. You cope with it. You have the first 24 to 48 hours to figure out, like, hey, what the heck is going on? Then you adjust your policies, your practices, your procedures, your mindset to this new disruption. And then you transform the organization to adapt to the new normal, and then prepare for the next disruption that's coming. And then
another one's coming.
Another one's coming.
Yeah,
again.
Another one's always coming.
They're always coming.
Yeah, it's disruptive times. So, and it's hyper change. So they're coming quickly, and they're much more intense. So it's a change on top of a change on top of another change. You're still trying to figure out the first one. You got 2 or 3 facing you. And then we wrote a second edition to that to talk about the pandemic and what that looked like. And then I was able to write my solo book. The one we started off with was Be Great, 5 Principles to Improve School Culture from the Inside Out. So there's a through line through all those books. And that through line is mindset. It's all about mindset. So what I emphasize the most in all 4 books, especially the one in Be Great, is there's 2 things in life that we can control, and that is it. It's our attitude and our actions. We can't control anything else. We can't control people. We can influence people. We can't control circumstances. We can influence the circumstances, but we can control our attitude, meaning how we show up, and the actions, meaning how we behave.
That's it, man. Woo! And the thing is, I was around for all this stuff. I mean, it was great. I mean, I remember, truthfully, I remember the building when you created. I actually came and I visited you, and I remember the new building that you had and the disruptive times, and the second edition of that. And then I was so excited, like doubling over excited when you got your own book. I was like, yes, let's do this. And those are all valuable pieces. And you're absolutely right. That mindset piece is everything. And you've gone through a process in order to start speaking some more. And we did that through Within Our Ranks. He was a part of that Within Our Ranks, right, Meg? Remember, he just came in and he just all energy with it.
In fact, that's the first time that I got to meet you, Dwight, was Within Our Ranks. You attended a retreat with us, and I got to know you a little bit more. But I have to talk about really quick before we move into Within Our Ranks. But when you showed up there, it was the bow tie. We had professional photos. We did things like, oh my gosh, Dwight, I love the bow tie. You should wear that more often. And you looked at me and you said, actually, it's kind of my thing. So on your book, it's a thing. Tell me a little bit about, I want to know the story of the bow tie.
All right. So I have a daughter named Gabrielle. She's 12. She'll be 13 in a month, which is crazy. But for her first birthday, my wife said, hey, why don't you wear a bow tie for her birthday? Never wore one before, other than a clip-on for a wedding or something like that. But I didn't want her to wear a clip-on. So, and then at the time, bow tie Tuesday was a thing.
Okay.
So for Gabby's first birthday, I watched hours upon hours upon hours of YouTube to learn how to tie a bow tie. And it was 2 hours before the birthday party, and I still hadn't learned how to tie the bow tie. I was just getting frustrated. So time was ticking, and like 30 minutes before, I would just try it one more time, and it worked, and it looked great. So that was the first time I wore the bow tie. Got a lot of positive feedback. I liked the look. It was something different, and it fit. You know, it just fit. So I started to purchase more bow ties, and we'll wear one once a week, maybe twice a week. And then after about 6 months, it became a daily thing where people started gifting me bow ties. Like some of my teachers bought me bow ties, and I would get bow ties for Christmas. And I started ordering them like crazy. And so now I have a collection where it's really abnormal not to see me in a bow tie at work. So I've been wearing a bow tie almost daily for about 11 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great story. It was a great conversational piece for us at the retreat, you know, that bow tie. I'm like, hey, tell me about this. It looks great. And here we are.
Yeah.
So Atlanta, I got to meet you there. And I think the one thing with that retreat is that you were kind of like taking it all in, and you're able to, you think very amazing. I think when you can just take this huge idea and just niche it down to, you know, that mindset piece that you've been talking about this entire podcast is like the mindset behind it. And, you know, we sat down together and we had some great coaching calls, great coaching on about like how to move forward with where you're at. You know, you're a speaker already established, but how do we use this? And the retreat, I feel like gave you something to do next, you know, and now all these blogs are coming out and your emails, and I don't know, it was really great to have you at one of those.
Yeah, that was very transformational experience for me in a number of ways. Number one, I was able to see it in action because I've heard about it so much from Steve. And number two, I met some phenomenal people, very passionate about what they do, very passionate. And it was people from all walks of life. We had classroom teachers, we had building administrators, we had district administrators, we had those who weren't in it, and no longer in a building, but aspiring to jump into the field of professional speaking through the lens of education. But my biggest takeaway was it helped create systems for success. The systems I didn't have in place. I was familiar with some things, but I was doing things my way. Whereas within our ranks, it's a methodical, intentional approach. Each moment, it builds on one concept to the next concept, and there's a nice flow all the way from building your speech, where to get content, how to do a virtual session, how to respond when there's a mistake in a virtual session, how to use your body, how to generate interest by leaning in or pausing or slowing down your cadence, invoicing, finding places to actually speak. Like all these things were laid out, but it's not done for you. You have to do the work.
There you go.
So it's like a silver platter with a beautiful meal on it. You still have to eat it.
Yep.
If you're not willing to eat it, you're not going to get anything from that meal. And that's what I think within our ranks is you got to sit down and you got to eat, you got to do the work. And then you just got to reproduce what you said you're going to do. So we walked away with some tools, and then what's helped me are the follow-up, the community events and the coaching calls and the reminders, like, hey, this is what you said you're going to do. Like, where is it? So that is helpful, especially for busy educators. If you're still in the field, if you're still in the building or in the classroom,
Right.
You're doing 1,001 things each day to think about. Then preparing to speak professionally, you need those reminders. You need those systems. Again, the systems. Use your calendar. Put in some quality time. I was already accustomed to like getting up early Saturday morning. I work out, and then I would do my writing. Like that's how I wrote Be Great, as I wrote Saturday and Sunday mornings before anybody got up. And then after I was done, I kind of stopped that discipline. But then going to Within Our Ranks, and then during the follow-up, I started to get back up on Saturdays, continue the workouts, but then I started to work my mind after my workout. And that's where I would spend an hour or two, writing and just generating ideas, thinking about stories that that connect and whatnot. So the retreat was just a phenomenal reminder to just tap into the stories that we already have, create a system, and then work the system.
Yeah, that's it. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you saying it's doing the work. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, there's many educators out there that want to speak, train, consult, provide PD.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do it as a thing after you retire or while you're doing it. That's fine. But there's many people who just want to make professional development better
Yeah.
in doing it. But even with that, use the systems, use the processes
Yeah.
so that you can do that and
Yeah.
you can do it better. So I appreciate what it is that you said about Within Our Ranks, because it is designed for just K-12 educators to be able to speak, train, consult, or coach at a higher level.
Yeah.
And it just takes you to another level that you can be great,
Yeah.
with your speaking and training and such that you're doing.
And
That's
I'll
it.
share one more thing. I had the opportunity to see Steve at NSA Ohio, National Speakers Association Ohio, the Ohio affiliate, and we were to hang out. So that was earlier this year, and because of that, did something I never thought I would do, never even imagined. I'm now a member of NSA Ohio, National Speaker Association, which is something I never even considered. Honestly, I never even heard of it until I met Steve. And so that was a professional leap that I took. Haven't done much with it yet, but it's there. So I get their emails, so I get information about tips and strategies and things like that. So that's been very helpful. It's been a great resource, but I would have never considered that had I not gone through Within Our Ranks. Even though I knew you're a member of NSA, I think you're the president or something of that. I mean, you're
No. I was the chair of the chapter leadership committee, so I oversaw all the different chapters around the country for a little bit. Yeah, that was it.
Steve was
But
standing
yeah,
tall in NSA.
I was
So
saying, yeah.
so very
That's
cool to
it.
see it in
That's
action.
it.
And then I met some great people. Actually, I reconnected with somebody that I knew in one of my former districts.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
we had a great catch up.
That's
We've
it.
stayed in touch as well, and so that's been a fun process.
That's
Yeah.
it, brother. That's it. That's it.
That's
All
what it's
right.
about, though, is the awareness of what
Yeah.
is out there. And I think, yes, being part of Within Our Ranks, being part of the community is being aware of what you can do in education, whether you're a classroom teacher wanting to do it on the side or your retirement and you're ready to go and continue your impact, is just knowing what's out there, knowing that there's systems in place that can help guide you to do that. And having Steve done that for myself and for you, Dwight, I mean, there isn't anything much better than that. Definitely transformational.
Pretty
That's great.
transformational. Appreciate it.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
yes.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up. All right, I got two final questions. I'm going to give you the last question first, and then we'll do the question before the last question. The last question is, how do we get a whole lot more Dwight Carter? How do we get a hold of you? Where do we find you? All that. But the question before the last question is, what's one idea, one concept, one piece of knowledge that you want to leave everyone here for the School Climate and Culture Show? Any basic idea?
The basic idea that I have is not so basic. It's simple, but it's not easy. I'll put it that way. And that is control the controllables. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier, which you can't control, your attitude and your actions. You determine how you want to show up, and you determine how you want to behave.
There you go.
That's it. Don't let anybody else dictate what that looks like. That's really up to you. And again, you have to own that. Nobody else is responsible for that but you.
That's it. Yeah. I love it. Perfect, man. Perfect. That's it. That's it. Give me the last one. How do we get a hold of you? Because I'm sure there's some people that's going to want to connect with you.
Yeah, so a couple ways. You can email me at mrdwightcarter@gmail.com. Again, that's mrdwightcarter@gmail.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Dwight Carter, also on X at Dwight_Carter, or Instagram at Dwight L. Carter.
There you go. All right. There it is. I appreciate you so much, man. And I'm going to reach out soon. You know, we talk all the time, but I'm going to reach out soon. We'll chat it up some more. But thank you so much for being a part of the School Climate and Culture Show. You're doing great work. Keep it going. Appreciate the good stuff you're saying about within our ranks. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Appreciate you.
All right.
See
Thanks,
you,
Dwight.
Meg. All right. Take care.
Steve Bowler doesn't give typical student assemblies. From the first moment, students are dancing, laughing, participating, and fully engaged. No sad stories, no long lectures, just a powerful, positive experience built around his signature Stand Tall philosophy. His rallies build energy and plant seeds of confidence that ripple through a school's culture.
First thing that needs to happen is stand tall through it all. Do your very best and have a good routine every day. Second thing, it's not about what you wear, it's how you carry yourself. Third thing to stand tall through it all, to do your best, it's all about teamwork. It's about working with other people.
Your students deserve this. Your school needs this. Are you ready to stand tall?
Hey, I want to tell you about this great product called FlyKit. I use it whenever I travel different time zones. Now, the way it works is it has these supplements, and the supplements helps with bloating, it helps with your body and all the things in it so that you do not suffer jet lag when you get to your location. It's real simple. You put in your flight, you put in the times that you're going to be there, and it gives you a whole program. And it has these really cool glasses that cut down the blue light so that you can get sleepy, so you can get tired, because I have a hard time sleeping on the plane. But this allows me to sleep on the plane, and it really regulates you really, really well, so that when you get to where you need to go, you are all set. You are ready to go. You are in alignment with your body, with the time zone where you are. So when your luggage comes out for wherever you are, you've already gone through everything, and this FlyKit is the bomb. It is good. I've used it multiple different times when I travel, because I travel all the time with my speaking, training, and consulting. And I'm telling you what, this is it. So go to flykit.com, put in the code STANDTALL, 10% off.